Hello. I'm going to tell you an extraordinary story. Please, listen to this. Truly, it's something that I'm sure you could never have imagined. Those of you who are familiar with this organization, and I know that many of you know us very well, know what we do. We rescue injured animals, sick animals, animals in critical condition, often as a result of abandonment, mistreatment, or natural diseases, chronic illnesses like leishmaniasis. We rescue animals that have been run over, animals that have been abandoned in houses and left there locked up.
Y rescatamos muchos animales, muchos perros, galgos y podencos.
And we rescue many animals, many dogs, greyhounds, and other hunting dogs, animals that began their days as part of a hunting pack, and who end their days, or well, almost end their days, abandoned in fields and on roads, animals that have been shot at, animals that have received gunshot wounds, broken legs, animals that have become quadriplegic. Well, what can I say? Follow our channel, follow our daily videos. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that is very possible some of you know, but when it happened 4 years ago, this channel was much smaller, so it's possible it was missed by some, simply because time has passed. But I'm going to tell it to you again. I'm going to summarize it for you. 4 years ago, it was a day in May. I was at home at the end of May when, suddenly at 8 in the morning, there's a knock on the door, and there are 2 gentlemen at the door. I went to see what was happening, and they were 2 policemen. They asked me to please go with them to the police station. They needed to talk to me. Honestly, the first thing I thought was that one of my dogs had escaped, that something had happened with a dog from the White House we had back then. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't know what could be happening. They took me to the police station and explained what had happened. There were indications of criminality on my part, and I was accused of continuous fraud. I was dumbfounded. I didn't understand what was happening. With time, I understood. A few days went by until we became aware of what was happening. What happened is that one of the neighbors of the White House, where we had 8 animals, started to complain about the noise. She heard barking, didn't know why there were animals there, and called the local police to tell them that there was an illegal animal breeding operation in that house. Dogs. The police showed up, arrived at the house, and obviously, far from finding an illegal breeding operation, they found a house with 5 or 6 dogs in wheelchairs, another 5 or 6 dogs with 3 legs. You know, the animals we have. I don't know which animals we had at that time. I imagine Dickens, Nancy, Jordan would have been there, the long-term residents, and some more that were later adopted. Well, finally the police did an inspection of the house. They found everything very good. They were very satisfied. They called me, I went, showed them around. Great. A couple of days later, the same lady called again to say that there was something odd going on. So the police came again. I showed them everything again. They were once again very satisfied. I explained to them that we are an animal rescue organization based in the Netherlands, and that there is the Spanish branch, so to speak, where we had the resident animals until they were adopted. What happened then is that one of the policemen found it odd, such a strange thing. The White House. This name is very strange. Spanish shelters are not like this. In this country, dogs do not live in mansions. Shelters here keep dogs in kennels. They have conditions that, whether better or worse, are not those found in this house. The dogs in this house have a swimming pool. Such a strange thing. So, the police officer decided to follow me. He followed my car. Where does this guy live? He arrived at my house's gate and found what you see here behind me, my house's garden, a beautiful garden. The truth is that it's amazing. Turns out that in this country, you can't have a garden like this without it being suspicious, without it being an indication of a crime, and that's where an investigation began. For about 2 years, I think it was 2 years, the police followed me. They monitored me. They tapped my phone. I think they thought, well, we have an impressive case here. A criminal network. They followed me for a long time. I know they followed me when I went to the airport to take animals to Germany. At that time, I often went, sometimes once a month, twice a month. I always took a couple or 3 dogs. And well, I guess he goes to Germany. Ooh, sometimes we went to Switzerland. Of course, to go to Germany from Valencia, you have to take a Swiss flight. So I flew to Zurich. Of course, what is this guy doing? Surely he's going to Switzerland. He must be carrying millions in his suitcase. Well, the situation continued for several years until the judge, I guess tired of seeing that this investigation was leading nowhere, asked the police what was being done with the investigation. And they decided to enter my house and conduct a search. Normally, when a search is conducted on a criminal, several agents show up and they turn the house upside down. And that's precisely what happened in my house. And they showed up, 11, 12 agents with the canine brigade, dogs, trackers, looking for money, looking for computer equipment, and well, the things that are normally searched for in houses where there are indications of criminality, especially cash and things like that. I was very cooperative from the beginning because, well, what was I going to do? Besides, I had no problem with them looking wherever they wanted because there was nothing here. They searched everything. It was incredible. My father had just passed away those days, and they even looked through my father's wallet. A thorough search.
La policía encontró.
The police found 36 euros in my house. 36 euros. Really. It's not a made-up figure. There were 36 euros in the house. Of course, there was no cash, no money. This fraudster, what is he doing? How is he doing it? Where is the money he is embezzling? Such a strange thing. They took me to the police station, and I was arrested. I spent 2 nights in a cell. 2 nights. Truthfully, they were 2 terrible days. Something I wouldn't wish on anyone, especially knowing that you've done nothing wrong. My biggest concern, I'll be honest, was that I had to pick up my kids from school that afternoon, and there was no way to tell them I wasn't going to come. During those 2 days, a lot of things go through your head, and you wonder, what is this? How have we reached this point? What has happened here? There were 36 euros in my house. When I was released from the police station after 2 days, with the obligation to report every 15 days to the station to sign, they took my passport. They took my car, of course. They took my computer and my phone. Well, I went back home, and now, how does it work? I don't have a car. How can I transport dogs? How do I move around? My passport. They also took it. Man, I have 2 kids. I remember they might have thought that maybe I was going to flee, but how was I going to flee? If I have a ton of things set up here, and especially I have 2 small children to whom it made no sense. What was I going to do? Where was I going to go? Well, as they started to look at all my papers and interviewed the people around me, they realized that there was nothing there. They realized it had been a monumental screw-up. And when you read the report of everything, well, you realize the police didn't know Let's Adopt existed. They had the impression that donations came to me, to my personal account, and that I was spending the money, I don't know, on parties, on, well, I don't know. The police never knew that there was an organization, Let's Adopt International, which is the one donors, those of you watching this video and donating, Donaritu. And it's the organization that pays all the bills, and pays the bills well. The truth is that at that time, we had an average of 25, 30, 35,000 euros per month in veterinary expenses at various veterinarians. Everything was obviously paid from the organization's accounts. The police looked at my account, started looking into it and said, well, this guy raises money, doesn't pay bills, because obviously I don't pay veterinary bills. The organization does, of course. So everything was very strange. They didn't understand anything. They didn't understand what was happening. They conducted interviews at the Valencia Sur Veterinary Hospital. In many videos, I have always said that we operated our animals at Valencia Sur. The police understood that I personally operated on the animals. They accused me of acting under false pretenses, of operating on the animals myself. Obviously, they went to the hospital and were put in their place. They were told, "Gentlemen, here, only 3 surgeons from the hospital operate. How is this man going to operate who doesn't know the difference between a potato and a heart?" Well, I do know the difference, but it's so you get the idea. I'm not going to operate on animals. Why would I operate on animals myself? If we have some of the best surgeons in Spain, why would I operate when Jorge or Isidore or any of the many veterinarians we have worked with can operate? Well, I continued to go regularly to sign. This lasted for months, for years. In this country, justice is very slow. I don't know why it's so slow, but it's very slow. And the years went by, well, without a car, well, I gave up on things. I mean, I thought that someday they would return them to me. It all progressed very slowly. The truth is that I don't know why justice in Spain is so slow. And finally, on January 31st, 2023, almost 2.5 years after the events of my arrest, the prosecutor writes a document in which she requests the court to dismiss the case. For a series of reasons, especially because there is no evidence of anything, because the investigation has not reached any conclusion. There is nothing, and, in the words of the prosecutor, in our opinion, we do not have sufficient evidence to override the presumption of innocence. What does this mean? That the prosecutor does not show up, that the prosecutor asks the judge not to proceed further, because there is nothing. And what happens then? Then, enter. I don't even know how to present these gentlemen who come now. I will try to do it very elegantly, and I will explain why I will do it very elegantly. Because if you get into the mud to fight with pigs, you end up very dirty. And I'm not going to go there. A hunter's foundation. I will not name the name, which you can find out there. But if I name them, I'm giving them publicity. Good or bad, but it's publicity. And in the end, that's what they want. So I'm not going to go there. A hunters' association, a foundation, presented itself as private prosecutors. This is allowed in the Spanish legal system. So suddenly a group of gentlemen, I believe they are in Ciudad Real, decide to present themselves as a private prosecution against me, when the Crown Prosecutor herself has said there is no case. And why do they do this? Why does the Hunters Association do this? Because it's a Hunters Association for the protection of hunting interests. And what do I have to do with hunting if I have never messed with hunters? Wait, of course. But if we rescue a lot of greyhounds? Of course. Of course, Julian was shot in the leg. Of course, this other one appeared thrown away with both legs broken. They appear run over a lot, of course. And they are podencos, of course. And then there are the dogs we rescue from the dark enclosures that are home to hunters' dogs. Of course, of course. It was logical. It was logical that a small hunters' foundation would attack, who at that time, even now I believe, we continue to be the largest animal rescue channel in our country. Of course, of course. It made all the sense in the world. They had to go after me. Of course, they did. So they presented themselves as a private prosecution. And even though initially our lawyer, of course, requested the dismissal of the case, they said no, that as private prosecutors they will go ahead. We requested that our car be returned to us, which had already been 2.5 years in a compound. Initially, they refused, but we wrote to them again, and they returned the car. They returned the car. And we also requested that my computer and my phone be returned to me, because by then it was an iPhone 9, I think. It's an old phone. It's useless, but it's my phone. And my computer, I also needed it. They decided not to. The hunters opposed the return of my phone and computer, and I asked for my passport back. I've been almost 4 years now without being able to leave the country, and you all have seen my videos rescuing animals internationally and taking animals to their homes. Then, apart, I'll be honest with you, I would like to travel with my kids. I haven't been able to do it in the last 4 years, and I'll tell you the truth. That's what has hurt me the most about all this. That they've had me here having to completely change the way we work. Well, because yes. Okay, fine. Finally, yesterday, they precisely returned my passport. 4 years later. Okay, great. Very good. And I wouldn't have said anything because, as I've told you, I don't want to roll in the mud with these people. The truth is that I don't want to accuse or speak ill of them because it's not even necessary. It's not my style. First, you have seen me here that we usually rescue, solve cases. The animal rehabilitates, goes to its homes, and we don't mess with anyone. We do our job very, very well, and we don't get into controversies. But in this case, the controversy came to me. They went straight for my neck. An amazing thing. Well, precisely yesterday, an announcement appears in a couple of media that the trial will be held, obviously, on April 11th, in which a judge puts me on the stand and so on for alleged fraud. Here we go again. But if there is no public prosecutor, if there is no evidence of anything, if there is nothing, if as much as they searched, there was never anything. Do you see what we do? We have been doing everything with incredible transparency for years. You know how each animal evolves. They even claimed that the animals we rescued didn't exist, that they were photoshopped, that they were animals that had died a long time ago, that they weren't even ours. And well, during these years, I haven't said anything about it. Why am I going to roll in the pigsty with pigs? I didn't want to do it, but yesterday, after that announcement, they made in the press and different articles that were published. The truth is that I did want to say something. And I'm going to do it without mentioning the names of the people who are leading this forward. What I am going to do is to take some photos of these people from the internet. I'm going to show you a photo of the lawyer of the organization that presents itself as a private prosecution. I want you to see his face. I think we're going to cover his eyes. Not for anything. But why? Why am I going to give him more publicity? But I want you to see it. Do you see that child? What do you think? What can be expected from a person like that, who takes a 5-year-old child? 4 years old, that child must be on a boar hunt. These are the hunters. Yesterday they made a statement in which they said the following, and I'm going to read it to you, because yesterday I put it in a post on the page, but I think it's necessary. It says, "The Hunting Foundation will continue to fight against him and anyone else who benefits personally from social solidarity, especially when they are tarnishing a group of people, hunters, who are constantly showing their commitment to fight against the abandonment and mistreatment of animals." They actually say that hunters constantly show a commitment against the abandonment and mistreatment of animals. Let's see. And if this video is being watched by someone who has nothing to do with the animal sector, it is possible that they say, "What a strange thing. But how can hunters kill animals? How can they have a commitment against abandonment and mistreatment of animals? Are they not killing them? What greater mistreatment than that?" You can say, okay, hunting, as it is a hunting activity from time immemorial, and we go hunting. But please, and what they do with their dogs, not all, of course, not all hunters are bad people. I have never said that here. If one of my greatest childhood friends is a hunter, if I know hunters, and many are very good people, really. They have different ideas than yours, but, well, then you try to understand it. They were raised like that, and their parents taught them to hunt. Many times they had no choice at all. They were born into a family of hunters. And if you are born into a Democrat family or a Republican family, well, normally people then continue the family tradition. We never mess with that. Hunters constantly show a commitment against abandonment and mistreatment of animals. Please, ask any shelter in Spain, where do the greyhounds we have come from? Ask Scooby in Ciudad Real, or ask any organization in Seville. Ask the Benjamin Menher Foundation. Where do the greyhounds they are collecting daily by the dozens come from? Who do those greyhounds escape from? Where do they come from? Who abandons them? Who abandons them? We have never gone to attack sectors because it's also useless. If I'm trying to get support for a greyhound that has been hanged or shot, the only thing... I don't want more hunter stories and start discussions about whether it was a hunter or not a hunter. Actually, the one who did it was a lawyer or had a candy store. What does it matter? But we all know where those animals come from. All of us who live in Spanish cities, where there is a number of hunters, hunting grounds, know what happens. And it's not necessary for me to enter into more controversies, really. The trial will be on April 11th without a public prosecutor. Because, well, as they wrote it themselves, there is no evidence, there are no indications of a crime. It's just that, with what there is, the presumption of innocence cannot be overcome. And in this country, although sometimes it doesn't seem like it, we are innocent until proven guilty. And it shouldn't be us who prove our innocence, but the others who prove the guilt of the accused. So that's not the case. And in the end, everything gets mixed up, and you have to give a lot of explanations that we have gladly given. We have done it both at the court level and here through videos, and anyone who has contacted me during these years has been explained. When this happened, as I tell you, almost 4 years ago, it was a small media scandal. Many pages published the news. It began to spread. People passed it on to each other. I had to hear real insults. Some horrible things. But you know what? This organization lost 2 donors. 2 donors. 2 donors of 10 euros. Over time, there were people who read the news, and there have even been animal rights organizations that also, to try to take advantage and to try to have relevance there, made videos about us. There's a lady out there in the north, a strange lady, who also made a video putting us in a very bad light. Many tried there to attack us and such. But you know what? The organization has not been affected at all, on the contrary. All of you who know us know what we do. There are hundreds of families in Spain who have our animals, and many also abroad. You all have seen me travel, have tremendous ordeals, and since I don't have a passport, you are seeing my brother going to take the animals to their homes. What are you going to tell those people who have seen how we have gone out of our way for them and their animals? What's wrong? What are you coming with accusations that I am a mega fraudster? Please. But well, this is how it is. On April 11th, I will have to see the face of this gentleman from the Hunters Association. And the truth is that, well, I don't know what to tell you. I would ask him why he went after me. What have we done to make them look bad? But we haven't gone, man. The reason why hunters have a bad reputation is because you behave badly. It's because not only what you do, but how you do it. It's very difficult for society to accept you. Because you do terrible things. Some of you are good and some are bad. I don't know. I don't know what percentage of you are good or bad, but those packs of greyhounds, overwhelmingly horrible.
Apabullantemente horribles.
Every time you see a hunter on the road going with those carts there, those trailers behind, full of dogs, suffocated in summer, and you blame me, but if you just have to see yourselves, it's terrible. Then I could even give advice on how to make society accept you. I don't know, behave differently, communicate differently, get up to date. Get up to date to evolve in the same direction as society. Instead of going backward, well, go forward. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to give you advice because I would have to charge you, and that's not the way we act. Anyway, April 11th. Then I will have to see the hunters who, well, there will be no public prosecutor. It will be them accusing me of things I haven't done. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to be the one to make a prediction about how the case will go. When in a case there is no public prosecutor, well, obviously, what do you want me to tell you? That's how it is. But well, now you know. I never said it before. I kept quiet because I didn't want to talk about this. But it has been the hunters. Not all hunters, but a foundation for the defense of hunting interests. So the next time an animal rights activist writes to me to insult me or such, well, remember whose side they are on. Remember who has engineered all this. Anyway, what can I tell you? 4 years enduring this, but now I have my passport. So as soon as I can, I'll go on vacation with my kids, out there. I'll go out, I don't know. Maybe I'll take them to London to see, I don't know. But I'm going to travel with them. They deserve it. They're already 8 years old, and it's been a long time since they left Spain. 4 years without a passport, 2.5, or almost 3 years with the car parked in a compound. And having to endure widespread slander. Anyway, now you know. The hunters. Now think for yourselves and judge for yourselves. Greetings. I leave you because I have to prepare the rescue of a kitten. You will see it tomorrow on the page. Don't miss it. It's a kitten with terrible neck wound problems. We're going to continue doing what we do every day. If this is not going to change, it hasn't changed in 4 years. Well now, well I don't know. This is what hunters do, the same ones who made lobby so that greyhounds and working dogs are not included in the animal protection law. Of course, I mean, as if they weren't mistreated enough, now it can be done completely with impunity. Anyway, this is our daily battle. A very strong greeting, and really, to that lawyer of the hunters, what would I tell you? I think maybe we even talk at the exit of the trial. Not before, because I don't feel like it. But at the exit, maybe we even talk, and you'll realize you went after the wrong person. It wasn't me.
No era yo. No era yo.
The problems of hunting are not in people like me. They start with you yourselves. And you yourselves will be the ones who solve them. You will solve them when you change yourselves. Well, anyway, that's it. I'm rambling. Greetings. See you tomorrow, everyone.